Hello, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today I'm going to be talking about summer romance, and these are 5 romance novels I recently read, and they're from one is an author I've never heard of, and the other one is one that I've read several of her books. So the first author is from B Love Publication, and her name is Chelsea Marie, and I've never heard of that publication before, but they basically have books from authors. African American authors, and so far when I looked through a couple of them, I realized most of their stories are under 150 pages, which is like a really good page count if you want to like put a little bit of romance in between some of your longer books. And also it's a nice chill on the weekend kind of books, because most of them I was able to read under 3 hours. You're talking about 2.5, 2 hours reading some of these books. So the first one I read was A Love So Soft, which I didn't know was a spin-off from one of the other ones. And we have a girl, she is like the good friend, the ride or die kind of friend, but she has baggage and things she's not really deal with, trust issues and everything else. And she met a guy who he can handle it, except for, he also has to deal with the fact that he has a brother who's a recovering drug addict living with him, and the family drama with that, where it's a struggle for his family to really forgive his brother. So they are connected, and while they're connected, he has to deal with the fact that he needs to protect his heart, protect his space, and dealing with a brother and a woman now who comes with their share of things that might be a bit too much for him. It's just a beautiful story. It's so much dramatic moments in this book that she packed in 130 pages, and I really did enjoy it. I do find that there were some writing issue, but not enough for me not to want to continue, because I did read 2 more books. And the second book that I read was More Than a Crush, and this is a friends to lovers trope, and I love those. We have a 10-year friendship that started in high school. He's a successful football player, and she has her own business. Both had lived separate lives, in different ways. She's more of a commitment person. He's more of a let me have a good time. Except for he had slowed down in the last few years, and he wanted her now. He felt like this is the woman that's for him, his best friend. But she's no longer single, so there's that complication and how they maneuver and things that happen, and things about her relationship that you didn't know, that's unraveled in literally a little over 100 pages. It was done good. So then the third story was the first one for A Love So Soft, which I did not realize. And in the story, what I do like is you didn't have to read them in order, because she did a good job of separating the stories, where you don't need to read them in order, even though there is a spin-off. And what I love about this book is you have this 25-year-old guy whose life was spiraling out of control, and he was doing a lot of questionable things, and one night it really escalated where he could have completely destroyed his life and his family. And it made him stand back a little and realize this is not what he wants. So instead of him just dealing with another way, he decided to just leave the country. He went to Jamaica for this spiritual journey, self-awareness and everything else. Came back this calm man who didn't have time for nonsense, but he was more of no cursing and eating right and taking care of himself and knowing how to communicate and treat other people that he come across. And he wanted love. He didn't want what he was getting before, and he wanted to find this spiritual love connection with someone else. And his sister decided to get him a matchmaker. It was very Hallmark with that part, but I was for it. And he ended up really connecting with that matchmaker, which was not the plan, which is typical Hallmark fashion kind of story. And it worked, but it was so much drama between them that made it passionate. And of course she was not available. she was in a long relationship that wasn't giving her what she wanted, that was already complicated, and then this connection that she had with a guy that's made it even worse. So there's things about it that's not really my cup of tea, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done, and I was like, all right, now let me see what else she got, you know. So after I finished those, I started dipping with back to Vikid. Now Vikid and I have a really strange relationship because she's really big on what I call baby trope. Knocking up somebody that you're having a fling with, having a baby with somebody years ago they didn't know you had a baby, and the baby just, oh, I'm back. Break up with somebody, and oops, it was just baby. It was always like a baby trope. And I just was kind of like, oh my god, I can't. She and Penelope Ward, because they write together sometime. So I was so happy I picked these two books up because it was just so, she does have women who are typically mothers in her books. That's just how she is. So, you know, that's never going to change. I believe that's how she feels. But that's okay. But it just can't be no accidental baby story. I can't. So, but the first book is called We Should. And that book I liked. It was office romance. We both gunning for the same job. You know, but technically we both gonna get promoted, but one of us gotta go to Texas, and the other one's like, I'm not leaving this city life, nope, to go to no Texas. And so they were basically jabbing at each other and doing things to each other, which was very entertaining. And the guy comes out very jerkish, but he's really a nice guy, and the more they spend time with each other working on projects that they had to work on together, they realize how much they like each other. And now it's like, oh my god, one of us got to move to Texas and our hearts involved now. So just imagine how that's going to play out. So that's what I'm going to give you with that, because that's, you know, juicy office affair, you know. But it wasn't this great amazing story, but it was a feel-good romance. And then the last book I read was probably one of my favorite books from Vikid in a while, and that was All Grown Up. And this is about a woman. She is 37. At 17 she got pregnant. She got married at 18. And so, you know, 18, now a mother and a wife, and almost 20 years with a man who basically controlled everything. He, you know, she didn't work, she didn't finish school. You know, she didn't have no kind of goal of her own. Everything revolved about what he thinks should happen. So now you are divorced, you're free to do what you want, but you don't know how. You're not sure how, and you're not sure even how to date. And your friend decided to make you a Match.com profile, and you connect with a guy who is way too young in your eyes. He's 12 years younger. He is 25. But the conversation was entertaining. So you decide to meet the individual, and it turned out to be a young man that used to babysit your son. So that's another shocker. So just imagine how that plays out. But this is a very summer romance. The book is, you know, they spend quite a lot of time on their beach house, and talking and hanging out at the beach. It is very summer romance, and I think it was done in a way I appreciate how she talked about the older character finding herself and finding a career and going after a higher education, and also how the 25-year-old wasn't the typical 25-year-old, and this is why it worked, because his parents died while he was in his sophomore year in college, and he had to give up certain lifestyle to take care of his younger sister that he was able to be a guardian for. So he had to be a parent and pay bills and make sure everything was taken care of and she was okay. So he had more experience, even more than the woman who was 12 years older. So it worked because on the maturity level, they were somewhat on the same level to me, where the age wasn't a big factor, even though she couldn't get past it in a lot of cases. Most of the book she struggled with the age, because, you know, being an older woman, and what if he wants to have kids, and what do my body look like, and you know, what's going to happen when I'm a certain age and he is, you know, I'm 50, he's still in his 30s, that kind of deal. So it brought up a lot of those things that you don't, I think a lot of older men who date young women don't really think of, because, men can have kids till they crock, so, and women, you have an expiration date. So, that played a factor in the story. And I like that she touched on different things that makes the age gap an issue, or make the age gap put a halt on a lot of things that you want to have. But the romance was there, and it was done in a way where I enjoyed, that I thought was cute and funny and made me smile. And I love the story. I definitely think it's one of the ones that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy from Vi Keelan. So yeah, and that's all I'm going to talk about today. I also want to talk about what I'm reading right now, which is the Nickel Boys. And this is by Colson Whitehead, and I received this arc at BookCon, and this book comes out on the 16th, so I'm gonna read it and then review it when it comes. Hopefully by Tuesday I finish. This is a 210-page book, but I don't feel myself like flying through it because it just has some little, quite some few heavy topic. This is a story that is loosely based on, I believe, a juvenile program that they had in Tallahassee, Florida. And it was during, Jim Crow days, and they were doing some things to these boys. And in the beginning, where it's like a prologue where they talk about bones being found. So, basically kids were being killed or suffered and died. I don't know, but I am not that far in. I'm only about 18 pages, and we're not really talking about much yet, which is basically chapter 2 I'm on. So we'll see about this one. So anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye.